I would be taking your pediatrics class. I will be covering all the important topics that are related to pediatrics for your FMG exams. We'll try to cover the whole of pediatrics in some important sections, chapters, which will primarily include growth and development, which will be the first chapter that we will be starting. After growth and development, the next topic that I will do is neonatology, a very important topic for your FMG exams, and therefore I try to cover up neonatology in about 3 to 4 hours time. So growth and development is the first topic I'll do. After that, we'll do neonatology. After neonatology, we'll do an important topic which is cardiology, in which I'll be talking about some important points about congenital heart diseases. So please remember, although congenital heart disease is a very, very important topic for your PG entrance exam, for the PG entrance exam, for FMG also, it's an important topic. And there are certain important things that have to be focused on congenital heart diseases, which I'll do when I'll do cardiology. After that, we'll do systemic pediatrics, which will include neurology, nephrology, so kidney disorders that we'll talk about. After that, we'll do about respiratory disorders in children. We'll also talk about gastroenterology. In between, there are a few infections that I would like to talk, and this will comprehensively cover the whole of pediatrics. We'll also try to revise important points after each chapter so that these things can go into your head and you'll be well prepared when you start for your preparing for your PG for your FMG exams when pediatrics is concerned. So let us start with the first topic, which is growth and development. It's a very simple topic, but there are important things that we will focus on when we'll come to growth and development. The first thing that anyone asks is, sir, you are talking about growth and development. Are they the same thing? The word is growth and development. So it appears they are the same. But please remember, they are not the same. They are different. And there is a lot of difference between them. As you can see on your screen, growth simply means an increase in size of an individual. Simply means an increase in the size of an individual. When we were born, we were around 50 centimeters in length. What was the length when we were born? The length at birth is 50 centimeters. Now today we have a height which is almost around 160, 170 centimeters. So how did that increase occur? That increase occurred because of two reasons. The first reason was the cells in our body multiply. Then the cells also increase in size. So what is basically growth? Growth is primarily an increase in the size of an individual. However, growth is incomplete if there is no normal development. So what is development? Development is acquiring milestones. So while the child is growing, gradually the child keeps on acquiring milestones. So a 5-month-old child will be able to sit, a 1-year-old child will be able to stand, a 1.5-year-old child will be able to run, a 2-year-old child will be able to climb stairs. So you are saying everything is happening in steps. This acquiring milestones is a very, very important indicator of the central nervous system health. If someone asks you, is this child's 2-year-old child's central nervous system normal? A very easy way of finding out whether the central nervous system of this child is normal or is not normal is just to ask the milestones from the mother. Milestones of this 2-year-old child. So just ask the mother, can he sit? Can he stand? Can he walk? When did he start talking to you? Does he smile and respond to you? All these things will tell whether the child is having these milestones or not. And these are expected in a 2-year-old child. So if all these milestones are present, that means this child's development is also normal. So as a pediatrician, what is my role when a child comes to me? I first assess the growth of this child. Then I assess the development of this child. How to assess the development? By asking the milestones from the mother. A child is too small. He will not be able to tell the milestones. It is the mother who will convey the milestones. And once I see the child's growth is normal, how do we find out the growth? A little later we will see by seeing the height of the child, by seeing the weight of the child, by seeing the head circumference of the child. So we assess the growth of the child. We ask the milestones and assess the development of the child. And if both growth and development are normal, then we tell the mother, your child is absolutely normal. So I'll again repeat, what is growth? Increase in the size of an individual. What is development? It is acquiring milestones, which indicates that the brain of the child is absolutely normal. And for a normal child, both of them should be normal, then only this child will be normal. Now you can see when the child is actually growing, the sequence of growth, and this is an FMG question, remember, the sequence of growth is always cephalocaudal. Cephalo means head, caudal means the legs, the extremities. So when the child is actually growing, the child is actually growing in a cephalocaudal fashion. So cephalocaudal fashion means the child's head starts growing first. Just see the child's head is growing first. So how rapidly the head is growing. Then as the child's age goes on increasing, you can see the child's head growth gradually starts slowing down, and it is now the extremities that start growing. So initially it was the head that was growing, then gradually the trunk starts growing, and finally it is the extremities that start growing. So this type of growth is known as a growth with a cephalocaudal progression. Cephalo means head, caudal means legs. Cephalocaudal progression. So if someone asks you, what sequence does growth follow in a child? Growth follows a cephalocaudal sequence. Cephalo means head, caudal means extremities. Now let us see a few names that have been given to different parts of growth of the child. So we'll see the names that have been given, and for your exams you have to remember these periods. The first and the most important period of life, and you have a separate chapter. As I told you, I will be talking about neonatology as the second part. Neonatology is the study of a neonate. So someone asks you, who is a neonate? You will say, sir, a neonate or a newborn, as a layman will call, a newborn is a child who is in the first 28 days of life. Then a child who is less than 1 year of age will be called as an infant. So who is an infant? Infant is a child who is less than 1 year of age. Then who is a toddler? A toddler is a child who is between 1 to 3 years of age. So this was asked in FMG. A toddler is a child who is less than 1 year, 1 to 3 years, 3 to 6 years, 6 to 12 years. What is the correct answer? A toddler is a child who is between 1 to 3 years. Then preschool child. So who is a child in the preschool age group? A child in the preschool age group is a child who is between 3 to 6 years of age. Who is a school age child? A school age child is a child who is between 6 to 12 years of age. And finally, another important question for FMG. What, according to WHO, is the definition of an adolescent period? The adolescent period is a period, according to WHO, which is a period from 10 to 19 years of age. So they ask you a question. An adolescent period is a period which starts from 9 years to 12 years. Second choice, 10 years to 15 years. Third choice, 10 years to 19 years. And fourth choice, 12 years to 20 years. So what is the best definition of the adolescent period? It's a period which starts from 10 years and continues till 19 years of age. So let us repeat again. A neonate is a child in the first 28 days of life. An infant is a child less than 1 year of age. A toddler is a child between 1 to 3 years of age. A preschool child is a child between 3 to 6 years of age. A school age child is a child who is between 6 to 12 years of age. And according to the World Health Organization, an adolescence is a child who is between 10 to 19 years of age. A very important thing that many students ask me is, so what is the difference between adolescence and puberty? So what's the difference between adolescence and puberty? So please remember, adolescence is an age which starts from 10 years and continues till 19 years of age. Puberty is the development of secondary sexual character. So what is puberty? Puberty is the development of secondary sexual characters. Occurring in which age group? Occurring in the adolescent period. So please don't get confused. If someone asks you, what's the difference between adolescence and puberty? They appear to be same terms. No, they are not the same. Adolescence is an age group in which puberty develops. So what is adolescence? Adolescence is an age group which starts from 10 years, continues till 19 years of age. What is puberty? Puberty is the development of the secondary sexual characters which occur during the adolescent period. So no confusion. What is adolescence? Period. What is puberty? Development of secondary sexual characters during this period. So let us revise once again. What is the definition of a neonate? Child less than 28 days. What is the definition of an infant? Child less than 1 year. What is the definition of a toddler? Child between 1 to 3 years. What is the definition of a preschool child? Child between 3 to 6 years. What is the definition of a school-age child? Child between 6 to 12 years. And what is the definition of an adolescent child? Child between 10 to 19 years. Are adolescence and puberty the same? No, they are not the same. Adolescence is an age group which starts from 10 years and continues till 19 years of age. In this age group, when the secondary sexual characters develop, then the pubertal signs develop, then this is known as puberty. So puberty is the development of secondary sexual characters in which age group? Occurring during the adolescence period. So since we were talking about puberty, which is the development of the secondary sexual characters, let us discuss about the sequence in which these secondary sexual characters develop in girls and boys. This is again very important for your exams. What is the sequence in which these secondary sexual characters develop in girls and boys? Now, before I come to the sequence, let me introduce a few terms to you. Thelarchy is breast development. What is pubarchy? Pubarchy is the development of pubic hairs. What is adrenarchy? Adrenarchy is increase in the adrenal cortical hormones. Hormones of the adrenal cortex. So please remember, under the effect of the gonadotropin releasing hormone surge, gradually what happens is overall the gonadotropin start increase, and later on in life the adrenal cortex also starts increasing the hormones. These then are responsible for the development of the secondary sexual characters. So this increase in the adrenal cortical hormones, which leads to the development of pubic hairs and axillary hairs, is what is known as adrenarchy. So adrenarchy is increase in the adrenal cortex hormones, leading to the development of axillary hairs and the pubic hairs. And what is pubarchy? It is specifically the growth of the pubic hairs. What is thelarchy? It is breast development. And what is menarche? Menarche is the onset of the menstrual cycles in females. So what is menarche? Menarche is the onset of the menstrual cycles. So what is the sequence in which the puberty develops in girls? So the first sign of puberty, please remember this important question. The first sign of puberty in girls is breast development, which is thelarchy. This is followed by the growth of pubic hairs, pubarchy, and the increase in adrenal cortical hormones. So therefore, both pubic hairs and axillary hairs start growing at this time. So what is the first sign of puberty in girls? Thelarchy. What is the second sign of puberty in girls? Adrenarchy and pubarchy. This is followed by sudden acceleration in growth velocity. My mother used to say I was not a very tall child when I was around 5, 6 years, 7 years of age. Suddenly I started increasing height when I was an adolescent. During puberty, I started increasing height. All children will increase height to variable extents during puberty, and this sudden acceleration of growth velocity, also called as peak growth velocity, occurs after pubic hair development and axillary hair development, and just before the last sign of puberty in females, which is menstrual cycles, menarche. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'll repeat. What is the first sign of puberty in girls? It is thelarchy, breast development. What is the second sign of puberty in girls? It is pubarchy and adrenarchy. Pubarchy, pubic hairs. Adrenarchy, increase in the adrenal cortical hormones. This is followed by a sudden acceleration in growth velocity. Sudden acceleration in growth velocity. And this is then followed by the last sign of puberty in girls, which is menarche, onset of the menstrual cycles. So for your convenience, as you can see on your screen, for your convenience, I've marked the first sign and the last sign in red. So if someone asks you, what is the first sign of puberty in girls? You will say, sir, it is thelarchy. What is the last sign of puberty in girls? You will say, sir, it is menarche. Let us now come to boys. What is the sequence in which pubertal signs develop in boys? The first sign of puberty in boys is increase in the size of the testes. Very, very important question again. What is the first sign of puberty in boys? The first sign of puberty in boys is increase in the size of the testes, which is measured by an instrument which is known as an orchidometer. So what is an orchidometer? An orchidometer is an instrument that is used to measure the growth of the testes. So the increase in the size of the testis is the first sign of puberty in boys. The second sign of puberty in boys is again pubarchy and adrenarchy, which is growth in the pubic hairs and the growth of the axillary hairs. The third sign, again as in girls, is peak growth spurt, sudden acceleration of growth velocity. And the last sign of puberty in boys is growth of the beard on the face and spermarchy. So what menarche is for girls, spermarchy is for boys. Again, for your convenience, I marked the first sign and the last sign of puberty in boys in red. So what is the first sign of puberty in boys? It is increase in the size of the testis. What is the last sign of puberty in boys? It is the growth of the beard and sperma. So let us revise again. What is the first sign of puberty in girls? It is thelarchy. What is the last sign of puberty in girls? It is menarche. What is the first sign of puberty in boys? Increase in the size of the testis. And what is the last sign of puberty in boys? It is growth of the beard on the face and also spermarchy. What is the sequence in which the pubertal signs develop in girls and boys? So in girls, first sign is thelarchy, followed by pubarchy, adrenarchy, followed by peak growth spurt, followed by menstrual cycles, menarche. What is the sequence in which these pubertal signs develop in boys? Increase in the size of the testis, then again pubarchy, adrenarchy, then peak growth spurt, followed by the growth of the beard and spermarchy. So I hope till here everything is crystal clear to you. I started by telling you the definition of growth and puberty. I told you growth is simply an increase in size. Puberty is the development of the secondary sexual, I started by telling you the difference between growth and development. I'm sorry. The growth is increase in the size, while development is acquiring milestones. So in a child, both growth and development should be normal. So I started my chapter by telling you the difference between growth and development. Growth simply an increase in size. Development is the milestones. Then I also told you growth occurs in a cephalocaudal sequence from head to toes. Then another thing that I told you, from head to toes, another thing I told you is that there are different names that have been given to the different periods of growth. So the first 28 days of life is a neonate. The first year of life is an infant. Then 1 to 3 years of life is a toddler. 3 to 6 years of life is a preschool child. 6 to 12 years is a school-age child. And then adolescence is 10 to 19 years. Then I also told you the difference between adolescence and puberty. Adolescence is an age group. Puberty is the development of the secondary sexual characters in this age. And as you can see, what is the sequence of puberty in girls? Thelarchy, pubarchy, adrenarchy, peak growth spurt and menarche. And in boys, increase in the size of the testis, pubarchy, adrenarchy, peak growth spurt and growth of beard and spermarchy. So first sign of puberty in girls, thelarchy. Last sign of puberty in girls, menarche. First sign of puberty in boys, increase in the size of the testis, and last sign is growth of the beard in sperma. I hope everything is very clear to you till now. Now, how do we assess growth in children? I told you, when a child comes to us as a pediatrician, I have to assess the growth of the child, and I have to ask milestones from the mother to assess the development of the child. So how do we assess the growth of the child? Now, growth can be assessed by two sets of markers. One is known as age-dependent markers of growth assessment. The other is known as age-independent markers of growth assessment. Age-dependent markers of growth assessment are those markers which require age. There are three age-dependent markers, as you can see on your screen: weight, height, and head circumference. What is HC? HC is head circumference. Weight, height, and head circumference. They all require age. Only then you can say whether the growth is normal or not. I ask you a question. The question is, there is a child who has a weight of 8 kgs. Tell me whether the growth of the child is normal or not. What is the weight of the child? 8 kgs. You will laugh at me. You will say, sir, how can I say 8 kgs normal growth or not, unless until you tell me this 8 kgs in what age? So if this child is 1 year and has a weight of around 8 kgs, it is slightly less. If this child is 6 months and has a weight of 8 kg, it is very good weight. And if this child is 4 years and has a weight of 8 kg, it is a very poor weight. You understand? Similarly, if I say there is a child who has a length of 100 centimeters, is this child's length normal, height normal? You laugh at me. So what is the age of the child? At a 2-year-old child, 100 centimeters is very fast growth. At 4 years, 100 centimeter is normal. But at 8 years, 100 centimeters, this child is stunted. He is very short. So all those markers which require age, and only then you can say whether growth is normal or not, are known as age-dependent markers of growth assessment. So which are the age-dependent markers of growth assessment? The first is weight, the second is height, and the third is head circumference of the child. But there are certain markers in which I do not require to tell you the age. This is the typical example, a mid-arm circumference. What is MAC? Mid-arm circumference. So here what we do is, we take a tape and measure the mid-arm circumference of the child. A mid-arm circumference, we measure the tape. Now, when I say mid-arm circumference of the child is 14 centimeters, you do not need to ask me, sir, what is the age? Because any child who has a mid-arm circumference of more than 13.5 centimeters, don't write it now, we'll later discuss about this. Just here right now. Any child who has a mid-arm circumference of more than 13.5 centimeters, irrespective of whatever the age of the child is, he will be called as a normal child. So this is an age-independent marker of growth assessment. So one of the most important age-independent marker of growth assessment is mid-arm circumference of the child. Another important marker of growth assessment, which is age-independent, is skin fold thickness. So what do we do in skin fold thickness? We take a fold of skin, pinch it, and measure the thickness by vernier calipers. So you are measuring the thickness of the skin by vernier calipers. And the type of calipers that we use are known as Herpenden calipers. So if someone asks you, what is the instrument that is used to measure a skin fold thickness? So what are we doing a skin fold thickness? We are pinching a fold of skin and measuring the thickness by vernier caliper. The type of vernier caliper that is used to measure skin fold thickness is known as the Herpenden caliper. So what is the name? It is Herpenden caliper. Herpenden caliper is the instrument that is used to measure skin fold thickness. And skin fold thickness is measured at 3 places in the body. The triceps area, so this thickness is also known as the triceps thickness. The biceps area, so this thickness is also known as the biceps thickness. And the subscapular area, subscapular. So this is also known as the subscapular thickness. Which is the most commonly used? It is the triceps thickness. The triceps thickness is the most commonly used sub skin fold thickness. So two, three important things about skin fold thickness. First, what is the instrument that is used to measure skin fold thickness? It is known as Herpendon's caliper. It's a type of vernier caliper. Second, what are the places in which skin fold thickness are measured? So it can be measured at the triceps area, so the triceps thickness. It can be measured at the biceps area, so the biceps thickness. It can be measured at the subscapular area, so the subscapular thickness. Which is the most commonly used skin fold thickness? The most commonly used skin fold thickness is the triceps thickness. So once again, what are the types of growth assessment markers? So there are basically two types of growth assessment markers: age dependent markers of growth assessment, age independent markers of growth assessment. Age dependent markers of growth assessment are weight, height, head circumference. Age independent markers of growth assessment are mid-arm circumference and the skin fold thickness. Why I have marked weight in red? I have marked weight in red because it is overall the most commonly used growth assessment marker. So I'll again repeat, which is the most commonly used growth assessment marker in children? The most commonly used growth assessment marker in children is weight of the child. In fact, they normally say that both weight and height are considered to be the best markers for growth assessment. This was a question that was asked in PG entrance exam. It's not an FMG question, but was asked in PG entrance exams. Best marker of growth assessment in children is increase in weight and height, first choice. Second choice, mid-arm circumference. Third choice, head circumference. And fourth choice, skin fold thickness. So which is the best? It is increase in the weight and height. Weight and height increase is the best way to assess the growth of the child. And even out of these, if you have to see which is the best, I would say weight is better than the height. The single best marker for growth assessment in children is the weight of the child. What were the growth assessment markers I discussed? Weight, height, head circumference, mid-arm circumference, skin fold thickness. Which is the best? It is weight of the child. Let us now talk about weight of the child. All children, please understand this, all children, they lose weight in the first 2 to 3 days of life. No child starts gaining weight from the first day. All children, they lose weight. All newborns, they lose weight in the first 2 to 3 days. The maximum loss that occurs in the weight is 10% of the weight. So what is the birth weight of the child? Let's say the birth weight of the child was 3 kgs. So the maximum loss in weight expected will be 300 grams. Maximum loss expected in the weight of a child in the first 2 to 3 days is 10% of the birth weight. So you have to understand, there is a weight of a child at birth, it decreases in the first 2 to 3 days. And how much decrease? 10% of the birth weight. Then please see this, then it remains stationary for around 2 to 3 days. So 2 to 3 days, first 2 to 3 days it decreases, then it remains stationary for 2 to 3 days, then it starts to increase again. So when do children regain their birth weight? Most newborns are able to regain their birth weight by 10 days of life. Here it is important to remember that while terms regain their birth weight by 10 days, preterms take slightly longer to regain the birth weight, so they regain their birth weight by the 14 days. I'll talk about term and preterms when we do neonatology. What is term child? A term newborn is a child who was born after 37 weeks of gestation. So in a term newborn, the weight is usually regained by 10 days after birth, while in preterms, those who were born before 37 weeks of gestation, they are able to regain their birth weight by 14 days of life. So who takes longer to regain the birth weight? Obviously a preterm child takes slightly longer to regain the birth weight. A term child regains the birth weight by 10 days, but a preterm regains the birth weight by 14 days. This is how you check for the weight of the child. A small weight can be checked by a pan scale, but this is the standard digital weighing scales which are used for examining the weight of older children. Suppose you are given the age of the child. Suppose you are given the age of the child and I ask you, this is the age of the child. What is the expected weight for this age? This is the formulas that you should use. So there are three formulas which are known as the Vijay's formulas. One is the formula which is used for a child between 3 to 12 months. One is the formula which is used for a child between 1 to 6 years. And one is the formula which is used for a child between 6 to 12 years. So what is the formula that is used for calculating the weight in a child who is between 3 to 12 months? The formula is age in months plus 9 upon 2 kgs. You can see. Age in months plus 9 upon 2 kgs. So any child who is having a age of 3 to 12 months, so he may be 4 months, he may be 6 months, he may be 9 months, the child's age should be between 3 to 12 months. The best way to calculate the weight is the formula age in months plus 9 upon 2 kgs. If a child is between 1 to 6 years of age, he may be 2 years, he may be 3 years, he may be 5 years, the best way to calculate the weight is the formula age in years into 2 plus 8 kgs. Age in years into 2 plus 8 kgs. So 2-year-old child, 4-year-old child, 5-year-old child, the child should be between 1 to 6 years. This is the formula used. Age in years into 2 plus 8 kgs. And if the child is between 6 to 12 years, the formula that we used for calculating the weight is age in years into 7 minus 5 upon 2 kgs. So just quickly repeat, what is the formula that is used for a child who is between 3 to 12 months? Age in months plus 9 upon 2 kgs. What is the formula that is used for calculating weight if the child is between 1 to 6 years? It is age in years into 2 plus 8 kgs. And what is the formula that is used for calculating the weight if the child is between 6 to 12 years? Age in years into 7 minus 5 upon 2 kgs. So suppose the child is 4 years of age. And I ask you, what is the expected weight in a 4-year-old child? Use the second formula. So what is the second formula? The second formula is age in years into 2 plus 8 kgs. So we'll use this formula, age in years into 2 plus 8 kgs. So 4 into 2 plus 8 kgs. So 8 plus 8, 16 kg. So you will say, so 16 kg is the expected weight of a 4-year-old child. See how simple it is. You just have to apply the formula. First see the age, then see what formula to be applied. If the child is between 3 to 12 months, use the first formula. 1 to 6 years, use the second formula. 6 to 12 years, use the third formula. Let us take another example. What is the formula that you will use for finding out weight of a child who is 7 years of age? So if the child is 7 years, what is the formula we'll use? We'll use the third formula, because the third formula is a formula which is used for children between 6 to 12 years. So what is the third formula? Age in years into 7 minus 5 upon 2 kgs. So here it will be 7 into 7 minus 5 upon 2, which comes out to be 49 minus 5 upon 2, which comes out to be approximately 49 minus 5 is 44, 22 kgs. So basically what you have to understand is, if you know the age of the child, you can calculate the weight of the child at any age using these three formulas. For a child between 3 to 12 months, the formula is age in months plus 9 upon 2 kgs. For a child between 1 to 6 years, the formula is age in years into 2 plus 8 kgs. And for a child between 6 to 12 years, the formula is age in years into 7 minus 5 upon 2 kgs. So these are the three formulas. Age in months plus 9 upon 2 for a child between 3 to 12 months. age in years into 2 plus 8 for a child between 1 to 6 years, and age in years into 7 minus 5 upon 2 kgs for a child between 6 to 12 years. I hope now you can calculate the weight of any child provided the age of the child is given to you. Another thing that I would like to tell you is roughly how does the weight of the child increases with age. So a very simple way of remembering, please understand what I'm trying to say. If the age of the child is given, then you have to calculate the weight by the formulas that I just now told you. But suppose the age of the child is actually given to you like 5 months, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, and they have given the birth weight. Please try to understand, don't confuse. Suppose they are asking you what is the age of a child expected at, what is the weight expected at 5 months? What is the weight expected at 2 years? What is the weight expected at 4 years? What is the weight expected at 7 years? Use the formulas I told you. Another way of asking the question can be, suppose the child is 2 years of age and his birth weight was 3 kg. What is the weight of the child expected at 2 years? So please remember, the child's weight becomes double the birth weight at 5 months. The child's weight becomes 3 times the birth weight at 1 year. The child's weight becomes 4 times the birth weight at 2 years. The child's weight becomes 5 times the birth weight at 3 years. 6 times the birth weight at 5 years. 7 times the birth weight at 7 years. And 10 times the birth weight at 10 years. So I'll again repeat. Double the birth weight at 5 months. 3 times the birth weight at 1 year. 4 times the birth weight at 2 years. 5 times the birth weight at 3 years. 6 times the birth weight at 5 years. 7 times the birth weight at 7 years. And 10 times the birth weight at 10 years. You just need to know what is the birth weight of the child. So the child's weight becomes double the birth weight at 5 months, becomes 3 times the birth weight at 1 year, becomes 4 times the birth weight at 2 years, becomes 5 times the birth weight at 3 years, becomes 6 times the birth weight at 5 years, becomes 7 times the birth weight at 7 years, and becomes 10 times the birth weight at 10 years. So please remember this. So if the birth weight of the child is known to you, double the birth weight at 5 months, 3 times the birth weight at 1 year, 4 times the birth weight at 2 years, 5 times the birth weight at 3 years, 6 times the birth weight at 5 years, 7 times the birth weight at 7 years, 10 times the birth weight at 10 years. So suppose I tell you the birth weight of a child is 3 kgs. So when is the child's weight likely to be 6 kgs? His birth weight was 3 kgs. So at 5 months, his weight is likely to be double the birth weight. So his weight will be 6 kgs at 5 months. When is his weight likely to be 9 kgs, 3 times the birth weight? It will be at the age of 1 year. When will his weight be likely to be 4 times the birth weight? That is 12 kgs. It is at the age of 2 years. So you're understanding? If the weight of a child is known at birth, you just know double the birth weight at 5 months, 3 times the birth weight at 1 year, 4 times the birth weight at 2 years, 5 times the birth weight at 3 years, 6 times the birth weight at 5 years, 7 times the birth weight at 7 years, and 10 times the birth weight at 10 years. So I've told you 2 methods to find out the weight of the child at a particular age. First, if you are given the age of the child, directly calculate the weight by the formulas that I told you. Second, if you are given the birth weight of the child and you are asked when does it become double the birth weight, you will say sir at 5 months. When does it become 3 times the birth weight, you will say sir 1 year. When does it become 4 times the birth weight, you will say sir 2 years. When does it become 5 times the birth weight, you will say sir 3 years. When does it become 6 times the birth weight, you will say sir 5 years. When does it become 7 times the birth weight, 7 years. 10 times the birth weight, 10 years. So both methods should be very clearly known to you for your FMG exams. After weight, the second age dependent parameter that we'll talk about is the height or length of the child. This is the second age dependent parameter that we'll talk about after weight of the child. The second age dependent parameter is height or length of the child. Please remember, length we normally take in a child in the supine position. So till 2 years we normally take the length of the child. After 2 years of age, we normally measure the height of the child. So we measure the length of the child till the age of 2 years. So below the age of 2 years, we measure the length, and this is measured by means of an instrument which is known as an infantometer. While the height is measured by means of an instrument which is known as a stadiometer. So when do we take the length? We take the length of a child till the age of 2 years. When do we take the height of the child? We take the height of the child after the age of 2 years. What is the instrument that is used for the measurement of the length? The instrument that is used for the measurement of the length is known as an infantometer. So this is an infantometer. So this is for a child who is below the age of 2 years. And what is the instrument which is used for measurement of the standing height? It is a stadiometer. So this is a stadiometer, and it is used for a child who is more than 2 years. So which is the instrument that is used for the measurement of the supine length? Infantometer. Which is the instrument that is used for the measurement of standing height? It is stadiometer. Now, what is the length of a child at birth? Please remember, the length of a child at birth is 50 centimeters. This is very important. The length of a child at birth is approximately 50 centimeters. And how much length increases in the first year? The length increases in the first year by about 25 centimeters. So this is very important. How much length increases in the first year? In the first year, the increase in length is about 25 centimeters. So if it was 50 centimeters at birth, how much increase occurs in the first year of life? In the first year of life, there is an increase of 25 centimeters in the first year. So what does the length become at the age of 1 year? The length at the age of 1 year becomes 75 centimeters. So it was 50 centimeters at birth, and it increases by 25 centimeters in the first year. So it becomes 75 centimeter at the age of 1 year. Then in the second year, the length becomes 85 centimeters. So between 1 to 2 years, how much increase in length occurred? About 10 centimeters. So how much increase occurred in the first year? In the first year, the increase in length was 25 centimeters. You can see here. In the first year, the increase was 25 centimeters. But how much length increases in the second year? From first year to the second year, the increase in length is now just about 10 centimeters. So 50 centimeters at birth, 75 centimeters at 1 year, then it becomes 85 centimeters at the age of 2 years. Then after 2 years till 10 years, how much length increases? Then after 2 years to 10 years, the length increases is about 6 centimeters every year. So what is the length at birth? 50 centimeters. How much it becomes at 1 year? 75 centimeters, seen on your screen. How much it becomes at 2 years? 85 centimeters, 85 to 87 centimeters. Then after 2 years, till the time adolescent occurs, puberty starts, the increase is about 6 centimeters every year. How much it is? 6 centimeters every year. And it is increasing then very fast from this time. After 10 years, that is the time when puberty is about to start, adolescence is about to start. Remember, I told you adolescent period is a period from 10 to 19 years of age. So after 10 years, when adolescence and puberty start, sudden acceleration in growth velocity. So see, it was 6 centimeters per year when the child was between 2 to 10 years, and suddenly from 10 years onwards till the age of around 19 years, there comes a period when there is sudden acceleration growth velocity. So males gain about 10 centimeters per year and females gain about 8 centimeters per year. So this is how the growth is occurring. So just repeating again, how much is the length at birth? It is 50 centimeters. What is the length at the age of 1 year? It is 75 centimeters. So an increase of about 25 centimeters in the first year. Then how much is the length at the age of 2 years? It is 85 centimeters. After 2 years, now I will not call it length. Remember, length only till the age of 2 years. After 2 years, I will call it as height. So from 2 years then till 10 years, how is the height increasing? From 2 years to 10 years, the height is increasing 6 centimeters every year. So 2 to 3 years, 3 to 4 years, 4 to 5 years, 5 to 6 years, 6 to 7 years. Every year, how much height is increasing? Every year, then height is increasing about 6 centimeters every year. Till what age group? Till the age of 10 years. And after 10 years, then there is a sudden acceleration in growth velocity. Remember when I was telling you about the sequence of puberty in girls and boys, I told you that in girls and boys, there occurs a period of growth spurt. And this growth spurt usually is basically about 10 centimeters per year in boys and 8 centimeters per year in girls, in boys and girls. So this is basically in males 10 centimeters per year, and in females it is 8 centimeters per year. Right? So I hope this, how the height is increasing, how the length is increasing is very clear to you. 50 centimeters at birth, 75 centimeters at 1 year, 85 centimeters at 2 years. From 2 years to 10 years, 6 centimeters every year. And after 10 years, 10 centimeters per year in males and 8 centimeters per year in females. What is the amount of length that increases in the first year? It is 25 centimeters. This is an infantometer, which is used for the measurement of length below 2 years. And this is the stadiometer, which is used for the measurement of height after 2 years. So another thing that you need to know, these are two FMG questions. When does the child's length becomes double the birth length? It is 4 years. Remember, when does the child's weight becomes double the birth weight? It is 5 months. But when does the length becomes double the birth length? It is 4 years. And when does the length of the child becomes 3 times the birth length? It is 13 years. When does the weight becomes 3 times the birth weight? Remember, it is 1 year. I'll just repeat again. Weight becomes double the birth weight at 5 months. 3 times the birth weight at 1 year. 4 times the birth weight at 2 years. 5 times the birth weight at 3 years. 6 times the birth weight at 5 years. 7 times the birth weight at 7 years. 10 times the birth weight at 10 years. That is regarding weight. Here we are talking about length. Double the birth length at 4 years and 3 times the birth length at 13 years. So when does the child's length becomes double the birth length? It is 4 years. And when does it become 3 times the birth length? It is 13 years. Right? So I hope till here everything has been very clear to you. We'll just take a short 5-10 minutes break. And after 5-10 minutes break, we'll start again. Just a short 5-10 minutes break, and we'll start again after about 10 minutes. Just 10 minutes and we'll start again.